Yeah, I think it could definitely head in the same direction as the NBA.
Well, I think that the additions of a like the 4-pointer and stuff like that was, I guess, like something to increase like the scoring, even though that's like kind of like a big conversation about the All-Star game, is that maybe more scoring isn't the answer, because we're starting to see more fans in general, whether it's the NBA All-Star game or now the WNBA All-Star game, uh, if we if we're having these discussions about poorly played defense, how can we improve upon those conversation, improve upon the All-Star game? It's going to be it seems like no matter what format or what league, it's like it's never going to really have a definitive answer.
So are you saying, Tony, that maybe that the WNBA All-Star game should look to make changes that the NBA has tried to make, or should they, like, are you saying that where changes or not, this disapproval of the All-Star game is inevitable?
Oh, absolutely. It's super inevitable. Just like Thanos. I think the issue is that the All-Star game right now has almost, it's like to a fault, it's almost the players and not just the association. Like, it's just the demeanor of how they play the game during the All-Star game, and you're seeing fans literally by halftime not coming back after a bathroom break, but instead leaving the game entirely, that they just don't enjoy the All-Star game anymore. Like, it's kind of sad, but I thought, like, last year, for example, that the NBA All-Star game, when it was in San Francisco, and since I'm from the Bay Area, I was like, yo, fam, you should go. It's like, it's a really good opportunity. But then when you really watch it on national television, is it really worth that much money to go to? I truthfully don't know anymore, and I think it's just like there's this weird unspokenness between the All-Star game, between their players, for the WNBA, and it's just the way it is.
I think it was a good sign that the game was sold out, though. I mean, what, 16,000 people? Because it was in Indianapolis, so it was at Gamebridge. So I think around 16,000 people were there. So the league is definitely, it's still a sign that things are headed in the right direction. And particularly like when players like Juju, when she's eligible, get drafted, I think it's only going to promote the growth of the game even more. And maybe like one player that's just going to be a complete sicko in the All-Star game and take it really, really seriously, play hard on defense. Maybe somebody can like sort of step up and take on that role of making the All-Star game more watchable, promotable, and just more fun for the fans in general.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, they definitely need more like what you're saying is like big player names. And yeah, Juju's definitely going to do that. I mean, they did the whole 4-point line thing for Caitlin Clark, I believe. And, obviously she didn't play, but it was still a great addition, I think, like, at least if you're looking at a high scoring standpoint. But yeah, I mean, like, you still saw some players do their thing at least somewhat. You got shout out USC Kiki Irafin for putting up her 16 points. She did her thing. And it was I think it was an efficient 16 to 17, I'm pretty sure. So like the name of the game right now is like getting those big name players to really come out into the league and from the draft and really show their stuff and make make their league even more profitable.
I think also, I mean, Daniel, you talk about the big names that are, gaining big reputations at the collegiate level, and then inevitably will move up to the pro level. I do think that would help in terms of growing the league. But I think like what Tony was talking about, how All-Star complaints from fans are inevitable, because I feel like the higher quality of player, the higher caliber of player that comes into the league, the more likely they're not going to want to put their body on the line. I mean, look at the stars. Obviously the NBA stars right now are getting paid an obscene amount of money to play what many would argue play the fewest amount of basketball that it's ever been asked of them.
Yeah.
The All-Star game is no exception. Is the WNBA there right now? I don't think so, because all of them that wanted to play were able to play, did end up playing. And I think a lot of them still view it as a really good opportunity for publicity for the league. It's like, hey, a lot of these fans are coming in for Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese. But if I'm a 6 or 7 year vet, not named Brittany Hicks, who wants to gain notoriety or gain popularity, this is a perfect opportunity to actually play in the All-Star game. But I do, like what Tony said, unfortunately, I feel like the critiques of NBA All-Star Weekend are inevitably going to transfer over. And I don't like that none of you laughed at the Brittany Hicks joke. That was a reference to Shane Gillis.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, come on. I thought you watched the ESPYs.
For people that did watch the ESPYs, let us know in the comment section what you guys thought about it, because
I know Ben loved that.
Yeah.
I know Ben loved that. Okay, but so I think another underlying thing that was kind of a looming cloud over the All-Star weekend, which was, I know Tony was talking about this earlier, was this collective bargaining agreement that the WNBA is going through. So for context, for those of you who don't know, they had just opted out, the Players Association opted out of the current CBA in the last fall. It had gone into effect in 2020, and they opted out of it in the fall, and they're still in conversations to create a new one, but now they're really on a time crunch, because if they don't get one in or come to an agreement by October or soon after, according to an ESPN article, they are subject to a potential lockout. And Nafisa Collier, who, was one of the team captains and is be one of the most popular players in the WNBA right now, has said they don't want a lockout, but they're willing to do what they need to do to get what they believe is equitable compensation. So I guess we've seen CBA from the NBA's perspective. I guess we've seen the CBAs from their perspective, and we've seen the numbers that they've reached. Obviously, the WNBA is not looking for those numbers yet, but we've seen the impacts of what happens with the CBA. So I guess just for both of you, regardless of how much you know about the subject, like, what is your feelings about how this is going?
I would say that it's definitely disappointing, considering how much the league has grown over the years. I'm looking at this right now. They just landed a $2.2 billion media deal. And I guess the players just want a bigger piece of the pie. The quote is that from Collier, actually, that they want a bigger piece of the pie that they created essentially through their efforts and their hard work. So it's just a little disappointing that because the league is growing so much, that there's potential that there could be a lockout at a time where there's just so many really, really good players in the league, really exciting players in the league that actually get people in the arenas to watch all these players play. So I really hope that they can get it resolved, because I don't think a lockout would be a good situation for the players, the fans, the league, etc. So
are you saying that the players should maybe more so not kneel to the league, obviously, but more
no.
Not reach? Are you saying that it's in the better interest of the players to maybe not reach all of the goals that they want in the CBA if it means they keep playing basketball?
Well, I would say that I'm definitely a proponent of people, if you feel like you're not getting paid what you're worth, I mean, holdouts, lockouts, things like that, I'm not against it. Do what you got to do, but I think it would just be, when I say it's it would be bad for the players, I think it would be because the league is so popular right now, the players not playing it hurts that popularity of the league. I guess that's where I'm coming from on that.
Okay. Yeah, it's hard because the WNBA is seeing a hyper growth right now, since the last couple of years. But at the same time, the leverage I would say right now is not neither the players or the league. I feel like right now it's mutually assured destruction if the players are saying, okay, we're gonna hold out a lockout, and then the league is saying, okay, that's fine too. But then they both I don't think have enough leverage to say one is better than the other right now in terms of who's got more to say, because the talent's getting better, but at the same time, the WNBA for what it is, it's still not gaining as much money like the NBA, of course. That is, I think last year they gained about $10 billion, while the WNBA is still losing millions. And it's really hard to say what either side is going to really nail down to.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important to, because like you said, Tony, one of the main talking points of people who are frustrated with these CBA negotiations on the players are frustrated with the players in this is that how can you want more money when your league loses money? And I think the that's a very obvious point, of course, but I think one thing that people fail to consider is that for these WNBA players, this is not their livelihood. There are a lot of players that go overseas in the off season, which is extended because their season is shorter, that go overseas in the fall and in the early spring to play basketball in other parts of the country where sometimes they get paid more overseas than they do here in the United States with the WNBA. And I think that's something that people fail to consider because they love this league and they want to do right by it. I think from their perspective, they just want the league to do right by them. And what I mean by that is they want to be able to make this their livelihood. No NBA player has to go play overseas. Even the 13th man in the rotation doesn't have to go play overseas to make ends meet, really, because that's how a lot of these players have been since the league's inception. If there was an opportunity to play overseas and make more money, they were going to do it in the offseason. But they never made it their livelihood to make that priority overseas because they want to still play here. And so I think that's also an important point to make here because they don't want to take tens of millions of dollars from a league that doesn't have it. They know that. They're aware of this. I think that's a very tone-deaf comment from people who critique the players. They're aware of the financial situation here. It's not like asking for money that the league doesn't have. But I think they just want to take the step. They want to take the steps forward to make this an opportunity where they don't have to go look for something else. That's why the Unrivaled League was such a big deal. It kept so many players stateside to play in the off season, and overall it was pretty popular. It's coming back for another year. So I think the Unrivaled as well, being domestic, I think puts a lot of pressure on the league because they're realizing, okay, these players are able to make a lot of money even if it's here. And I don't think it's that the league doesn't want to pay them. It's just that they're like, hey, you got to, I think from the league's perspective, it's like, you got to be more realistic on what you want here. And I think the players are like, we are realistic. Look how much money the league comes in, how much money the league is starting to bring in, I should say. I do want to point out though, any basketball fan will know this, how the veterans have treated Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and basically how they play. I just want to point out the irony in that, the league is growing exponentially, and those two players are really the main staples of why it's growing so much. You can, for controversy or whatever, it's those two players that seem to be at the front of it. And now all the veterans are coming around and are like, wait, but like the league is growing. We want more piece of the pie. And it's like, well, those two should be first in line to get whatever new slice size you're getting because they're responsible for it. And then just wait until Juju comes in. Paige is already here too. But the irony of it is not lost on me. I'm not saying they're undeserving of it. They're reading the room well, but you would think they would probably treat these players. Now they're not rookies anymore, but you would think they would treat these players a little bit better on the court.
That's a great point, Ethan, because I think that is a big elephant in the room that I think a lot of the players aren't really acknowledging is that unfortunately they aren't the players that really the WNBA is really looking at to like actually agree upon. Like the crux of it is that Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark are at the forefront of that argument for we need to get paid more. And it starts with them if they are going to get paid more in order for the rest of the league to maybe have a pay raise as well. But I think the discussion has not been, weirdly enough, I think it hasn't been pushed enough by the players. It's been pushed enough by the media, but it hasn't been pushed enough by the players themselves that they're trying to push these young stars to be the forefront of and faces of the league.
I think it's also, we've seen this in other sports too. You've seen it in era differences with the NBA, for example, but it's even crazier because you're seeing it in real time right now. Like a lot of these veteran players in the WNBA, they're great players. They've proven that they can be, but they never had the publicity that these new stars have had. The best time to be in the NBA right now is if you are in your prime actively as we speak, like Navisa Collier, or you are one of these new players that has come in, like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Paige Beckers. All the other players, there's only room for so many people. And so I'm not saying that these other stars are not worth the money that they're asking for, because in reality, a lot of them are. But again, Tony, like you said, they're saying the league is growing. Well, why is it growing? Why is it suddenly grown in popularity among fans over the last 2 years. And you could point, you don't even need all the need all the fingers on your hands to point at the players that have really kickstarted this growth for the league. Again, growth is growth, and they're embracing it because they want the CBA, a new CBA. But you would think that they would maybe treat these players a little bit better on the court if they're aware of who's driving this.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
What did Charles Barkley say? You're a bus rider, not a bus driver.
No, he also said that if Alabama played Afghanistan, he would root for Afghanistan. He did also say that. I think, and again, I'm not trying to diss the players in any way because I can imagine this is exactly how NBA vets were when Michael Jordan came into the league. And can you imagine how like if you're a vet from the 1980s and Michael Jordan comes in and he kickstarts everything, the NBA explodes in popularity now. Like, I'd feel a certain way too. I'd be wanting to get paid, but like, I'd probably still feel. I mean, look what the Pistons did to him. I'm not saying it's like that, but
Jordan rules, baby.
This is not a new thing. So I'm not dissing the WNBA players at all. A lot of them are deserving of that money, especially. But the discrepancy, the irony is not lost here. The irony is not lost. Speaking of ironic things, we were just talking about a couple weeks ago when when did Chris Middleton go to the Wizards?
It was during the trade deadline, during the season.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like in February.
Yeah. No. Who? Yeah. When we made jokes since Chris Middleton been there that the Wizards were the new unction, right?
Yeah.
And so
now CJ McCollum is now a Wizard.
Yeah, when CJ McCollum went there, we called them the unction because the unction's getting sturdy up in DC. But they lost a key member of the unction, and that's Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart has agreed to a buyout with the Wizards, and he's going to go play for the Lakers. I believe it's a 2-year contract with a 3rd-year player option.
Isn't it? Is it 2 years, $11 million? I think isn't it the same deal that Bradley Beal signed for with the Clippers?
Yes. So
not the heart and soul of Boston.
I want to point out that Marcus Smart won DPOY and then disappeared.
You know why? Because he worked for Husband of the Year Ime Udoka and thrived under that system.
No, it's because the Celtics wanted K4Z. That's why he disappeared.
Spectre of monogamy.
He got shipped to the Grizzlies.
And they had the Time Lord back then, who was low key also in those DPOY talks before Marcus Smart was. So
all I'm saying is that Marcus Smart. I haven't seen a Marcus Smart highlight since 2022.
Don't get me wrong. He is still like, how do I say this? I made a joke in our group chat and I was like, oh my God, guys, the Lakers just re-signed Patrick Beverley. For all hyperbole, Patrick Beverley and Marcus Smart are not the same player. But I will say that you're still kind of getting a older, smaller guard defender who I think at times can showcase that he has some intelligent playmaking skills. But I mean, I think the biggest thing about this, I almost said trade, but the buyout was that I think Luka Doncic is a big fan of Marcus Smart, and
he recruited them to the Lakers. Apparently,
of course, he's a big fan. You want to know why? Because now with Marcus Smart on that team, Luka has less accountability to play defense. That's why. Marcus Smart is not there to shoot the lights out and score 35 a night. They already have that. But now with Marcus Smart there, you can bring him in for defense. You don't need Luka Doncic now to get better at defense. So I think, of course, Luka loves this deal. Of this new signing. But as Palmore knows, we love needle movers.
That's yep.
We know what these are. We know needle movers when we see them. So I want to ask you, Palmore, is this signing for the Lakers a needle mover?
I was going to say that for me, it doesn't move the needle. I do like the move because, like you just said, Marcus Smart, still a very capable defender, played like a few games for the Wizards and was playing all right. But I think him next to Luka is a great fit for the team. But I don't think it moves the needle in terms of their chances to win a championship. Because when I look at the Western Conference right now, I would still say that the Lakers, at best, are like the 4th best team in the West. Because I would still take the Thunder over them. I would take Denver over them with all the moves that they've made in the offseason. And then I was going to say the Rockets. Those are like the 3 teams I would definitively say that I would take over the Lakers still. And I would honestly put a healthy Clippers there. I think in the regular season, I think they could be better than the Lakers.
If you could describe it in tiers, like let's say the tier is like top tier for the Western Conference is like Denver, OKC, Houston.
That's tier one. There's nobody else up there.
I would say they're a tier 2 team in the West. They're a tier 2 team.
I can argue tier 3, man. I feel like the Timberwolves, low key, are like still better.
Dude, I don't know about the Timberwolves. I don't know how much I can trust the Timberwolves anymore.
I mean, they went to the Western Conference Finals in the last 2 years, but
did what? They got a participation
trophy. They still ended in 5 games.
Yeah,
they got a participation win.
Yeah,
they got a tried medal.
That's more of a, I guess, a nod to maybe Anthony Edwards just being a dog in the playoffs. But
I think that just shows that the Timberwolves, they could both be tier 2 teams, but they're both a tier below.
I think for the Lakers,
the Wolves and the 2 LA teams are tier 2 teams.
For the Lakers, I don't like the DeAndre Ayton signing. I don't get why or how you can be excited about it, because DeAndre Ayton, or Dominatin as he likes to call himself, he doesn't have a high enough motor to be the center that the Lakers need to win the championship. And I'm sorry, the 2021 playoffs, he was really, really good until Giannis gave him the business in the finals. Oh, by the way, today's the 4-year anniversary of Game 6 of the 2021 NBA Finals when Giannis had the greatest closeout game in finals history. But that's not what we're talking about right now. That's besides the point.
I just think the Bucks in a minute.
There's still too many question marks with the Lakers. I like the Marcus Smart fit, but I doubt that Luka's going to get any better at defense. Maybe he'll be in better shape, but is that going to last throughout the whole regular season and whole playoffs? I'm not sure. LeBron, oldest player in the league, he's a senior citizen. Like, props to him for still playing. DeAndre Ayton, I don't know. And honestly, that Game 5 of the Timberwolves series started to raise my eyebrows, at least, about JJ Redick. He's a good coach. I think he can coach. He proved a lot of people wrong, including myself, his first year. But I think he I don't know if it's his ego, but he seems to not want to listen to people when they like him not playing Jackson Hayes in that Game 5 and getting Maxi Kleber a minute to it. Mind you, he did not play a single minute of basketball for the Lakers before that game. And it was biggest game of the season, Game 5 closeout game. And he put him in over Jackson Hayes. And he made Rudy Gobert literally look like 2000 Shaq against the Pacers.
And just wait until he gets frustrated with DeAndre Ayton.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say they are not gonna mesh. They are not gonna mesh well.
He doesn't like playing basketball. He likes getting money.
He'll have like a stretch where he's dominating, like a 10 to 15 game stretch where he puts up like 22 and 12 or whatever. And then he'll just have a stretch where he just doesn't feel his motor doesn't run high enough for me.
Do you remember in 2023 when they were playing the Nuggets, the Suns were playing the Nuggets, that I think it was Monty. Monty was still coaching at the time.
Yeah.
They benched DeAndre Ayton for Jock Landale because he wouldn't guard Jokic. He was literally refusing to rebound the ball. So if you're telling me that DeAndre Ayton is your big that's going to compete with like some of the other tall centers or a Jokic, especially, like I don't really see LeBron enjoying DeAndre Ayton as a teammate because one, apparently when he got signed, Luka was the first one to talk to him, but he hasn't talked to LeBron since then. And yeah, I don't know. I can't wait for LA fans to realize how much this dude sucks.
I still maintain the belief
for Jimmy Butler.
I still maintain the belief that LeBron should have retired after he won the scoring title or after he broke the scoring record. He should have either announced before that season, at the 22-23 season, that this was going to be his last year because he knew he was going to break Kareem's record that year. He could have had his farewell tour, and they do love him like that. He's not Paul Pierce. We love LeBron James. It would have been such a great ending to his NBA career to break Kareem's scoring record and then throw up the deuces. And I know he wanted to play with Bronny, but like, what else does LeBron have left to do? He's played with Bronny. He's broken Kareem's scoring record.
He's got to play with Bryce.
I guess, dude. Like, I would have hung it up after I broke that scoring record, but
he still loves the game. And as lovers of the game, Palmore, you know that it's hard to let it go when you love the game that much.
I guess.
Let's just be honest. Adam Silver's not letting him go.
That's actually the more important one. They haven't found a domestic capable new face of the league.
Yeah.
It's not Father of the Year, Anthony Edwards.
And nope.
He can be. He still can be. But the Lakers signing Marcus Smart, I'd say it kind of, if you're a Laker fan, all right, they're at least
more excited about this move than the DeAndre Ayton move.
Yeah, their offseason isn't done. Like that's what I can say. Kind of intrigues me is that the Lakers haven't like fully laced them up.
So what's the Lakers starting five right now? Is it Marcus? Is it Smart, Luka?
You got to put Reeves in.
Oh yeah. So would Marcus Smart come off the bench then? Or is
Smart
Marcus
might be 6 man?
Probably.
Okay. So Luka's the point guard then Reeves, then LeBron, then
Hachimura,
Rui, and then dominating.
Yeah, God, that's like a 48 win team, bro.
Yeah.
Ugh, you know what else?
That's like the 22nd best defense in the league.
In the East, that would be like a 4 seed, but that might barely get them in the play-in tournament in the West.
Yeah. Speaking of 48 win teams,
I just said that. I didn't even plan for that.
And across the town, in Inglewood, let's talk about the Clippers,
Century Boulevard.
Let's talk about it, man. Bradley Beal.
You mean Osama bin Laden?
Yeah, for those who were watching, that's my nickname for that guy because as a former Suns fan,
he robbed you guys blind. He robbed the Suns blind.
And he's still robbing the Suns blind because they owe him $97 million freaking dollars.
Oh, Tony, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I was looking back at some of our old views from the sideline episodes, and there was an episode where you're wearing a Suns hat. How quickly after KD signed with the Rockets did you get rid of all your Suns, not KD Suns memorabilia, just Suns memorabilia in general?
Dude, I can't even tell you where that hat is right now.
Okay. Okay.
I can't even tell you, man. The Bradley Beal. Okay. I'm going to approach this like an objective NBA fan before I approach this.
Oh, yeah. We love
objective. Me.
Nobody's more objective than us here.
So Bradley Beal, for the last couple of years has been hitting a lot of flack for there's a general understanding, or I guess like conversation that Bradley Beal is not a good player anymore. I'll say this. He, amongst a lot of injury issues, he put up and not putting up, the 25 that he's usually used to putting up. He did put up an efficient 17 points per game. And I think that the Clippers taking out Norman Powell would have sucked if they didn't get anything else, but they got John Collins. And that's Norman Powell for Bradley Beal and John Collins. I mean, if you're asking me, like I'd probably take the risk on that too. And for a low bargaining amount of money for Bradley Beal as well, because the Suns don't have to worry about that. We already know how bad of a deal it was for the Suns, but for the Clippers, this might be a bad idea. If they can maintain at least somewhat of the same defense that the Clippers had last year and get to sprinkle in that same amount of offense, then it could look good. But then again, you're still saying that same conversation of, well, we got to do the thing again where we ask about Kawhi's health. And that's just going to be another year of, is Kawhi going to be healthy? And can you really ask James Harden like last time to really put up like an offensive like juggernaut in the first half of the season, waiting for a potential healthy Kawhi and maybe even potential healthy Beal now? So, but along with the injury issues, I'd say for Bradley Beal, it does give him a good amount of space to kind of be himself, because on the Suns, it was all mid-range scorers on the same team. But James Harden knows how to stretch.
He didn't have a true point guard.
He's got a great relationship with Zoo. So, the floor is going to be a lot more spread than it was in Phoenix. But let's be real here. What? Bradley Beal to the Clippers is probably the funniest thing that could have happened. I mean, I love that Chris Paul is still probably in rumors to come to LA now too. Like, the Clippers really have thrown every single wrench that they can into their franchise and trying to really grasp for anything for relevancy here. I don't know what their ceiling is, but I can tell you that their floor is pretty damn low. So yeah.
If there was an award, they should create an award for building the best roster on paper every single year and just name it after who's the Clippers GM? Is it still Lawrence Frank? Is it him?
Yeah, I think.
Oh no, okay, no, Trent Redden. That's it's not him. But like the Clippers, every single year they build the best roster they possibly can on paper, and then it just never works out because of injuries, bad luck, or whatever. Like I think I made a reaction video to Bradley Beal going to the Clippers, and I'm like, I like this fit because I think the roster is better. Tony, like you said, more complete. I think him playing alongside James Harden is a better fit for him than it was Devin Booker and KD in Phoenix.
Yeah.
The John Collins trade, I think that was really good, even though they lost Norman Powell. The Brook Lopez signing, I don't know. Brook's very old, and so I think the Clippers are going to have Clippers fans. I think are going to be very frustrated when Brook Lopez gets played off the floor because teams just abuse him in pick and roll situations. If they run drop coverage with Brook Lopez next year, I think they're going to be in for a lot of frustrating.
I think that was a move that probably was triggered by what they saw in the OKC series against Denver. They saw that double big lineup, and they were intrigued by it.
Maybe
intrigued by it,
but like
Brook
all I know is this Clippers starting five would have put up numbers in like 2018. James Harden, Bradley Beal, Kawhi Leonard, John Collins, and Zubats. Like that's a pretty nasty starting five if we were still in Warriors dynasty days.
So that's going to be
we're in the big 2025. So
let me ask this: who's in a better position right now, the Lakers or the Clippers?
I think it's tough. I think I'll say.
Damn, I'm drawing for straws here, man.
I don't think either of them right now can beat the Nuggets or the Thunder, but I'll say the Lakers.
You'll say the Lakers.
Just because they have Luka.
I'll say
still a generational player.
I'll say this. I'll say the Clippers just because we haven't seen a full season of Luka and LeBron with the Lakers because a lot of that regular season success was because of AD. Let's be real. So and then you still have to have that conversation about DeAndre Ayton and his defensive liabilities. I'll say the Clippers, even though I'm not very high on them, weirdly enough. But it's just they can still be extremely low on this board. I could totally see the Clippers having a fluke of a season and going down to like
in the first round again.
Dude, I could see them going down to. I can see them fighting out of the play-in tournament, low key.
Well, they have to win the play-in tournament because they always lose.
Well, I think they got. I don't know if they got better, but I think Bradley Beal is the best replacement they could have gotten for Norman Powell. So I don't think they got worse as a team by that much.
Not by that much, but it's just there's going to be conversations about like, can they maintain that same level of defense that they had year plus the great amount of offense? I don't know. There's potential there, but you got to see what happens.
Clippers might be the new unction guys.
They might.
They are. I want to see what their average age is because it's got to be like 29 or 30. Like that team is old.
And if Chris Paul, comes down to LA and
let's talk about that really quickly before we go into our last topic. Let's just do this. Chris Paul, there's rumors that he might come back to the Clippers after, spending his prime there. Does that move the needle at all for the Clippers who already, like we said, are a very old team on paper?
No, I don't think Chris Paul has very much. Like
he played all 82 games last year.
That's true, but I mean, they already have James. So would he come off the bench then? They already have James Harden.
Yeah.
Like I guess he could lead a good 6-man unit, but like Chris Paul teams with Chris Paul on it doesn't equate to winning championships.
It's not like this team is going to win a championship though.
Well, yeah, but that's the goal though. That's why you're making all these moves. That's what you're trying to do, and I don't think that moves the needle at all or helps you that much.
Yeah. If I'm Chris Paul, I don't know why I would leave San Antonio. Low-key, I would stay one more year, play with Wembanyama and Stephon Castle, rookie of the year, by the way. And with Dylan Harper and like work with them one more year and then hang it up. Chris Paul should get a farewell tour.
He should.
Am I crazy for saying that?
No, you're not. I think Chris Paul,
they don't love him like I don't love him like that. I'll rephrase.
But he's one of the greatest point guards of all time.
I mean, sure, but so if you're Chris Paul, you have to plan your retirement like so that you don't do it the same year as LeBron, right?
Yes.
Because if you retire the same year as LeBron, nobody's gonna give a shit about Chris Paul retiring. So he has to figure out how to, because he said in an interview that he might play like he's gonna play at most one more year. So is this gonna be his last season in the league?
It might be.
But he hasn't announced it yet, though.
He's waiting to see if Braun announces that
he's
this
waiting
will
for
be his last
LeBron.
year.
Yeah.
He's waiting to see if this will be Braun's last year.
yeah,
Because I agree with you. I think Chris Paul is aware. I think if in a regular year where Braun isn't retiring, they would give Chris Paul like a nice send-off. Not like Kobe levels or Kareem levels or whatever LeBron's going to get, but it'll be a nice little send-off because they love him more than Paul Pierce, I would argue.
Yeah.
But yeah, if Braun, he definitely knows this too. If Braun retires the same year as him, they will not care.
Yeah.
Adam Silver will be like,
signs with the Clippers. I feel like weirdly it's gonna give Golden State vibes, like where he had to lead that like second unit off the bench, and it's just like
it is on
weird.
that second unit. Like, is Terrence Mann still there?
I think so. And then
No, they traded him for Bogdanovich, I think.
It really is an unction up in there.
Yeah, nah. And Bradley Beal already played with Chris Paul. His name was Tyus Jones. And
I was waiting to see if we could get a Tyus Jones mention up in here.
Yeah. All jokes aside, I don't know. I get like why the Clippers want to do this and kind of do right by Chris by like sending him with his family for his last year and everything like that. But like, they don't need to do this. They don't need to at all.
Yeah, but that don't mean they don't want to do it. There's a lot of things you don't need to do in this league. Draymond didn't need to punch Jordan Poole, but he wanted to.
He wanted to.
I want to point out that Jordan Poole went from a rising superstar, not a superstar, a rising star in this league, the potential heir to the Warriors Splash Brothers throne, and now he's a Pelican.
Because he punched that confidence out of him.
Yeah, no, literally. He hasn't been the same since.
Yeah. He's gonna play with Loondog.
Anyway, I just wanted to point that out. So Chris Paul to the Clippers. Would you do this if you were Chris Paul?
I mean, sure.
Oh no, sorry. If you were the Clippers, would you do this?
Yeah, sure. It doesn't hurt. I don't think it hurts them at all.
But it doesn't really do anything for them.
Yeah, it's low risk, high reward. The type of moves I like to make.
If I was Chris Paul, I would do the unthinkable and I would sign with the Bucks.
I would go to the Bucks.
No, we don't want Chris Paul. We don't want Chris Paul.
Well, they do have an opening at point guard. Last I checked, and I want to talk about that. That'll be our last thing we talk about right now. Palmore, we were talking about Dame Lillard leaving Milwaukee, and now he's signing with the Blazers, and he's getting paid more by Milwaukee than he is by the Blazers, by the way.
Yeah.
While he recovers from his torn Achilles. But you wanted to come on here and you wanted to give us the Bucks perspective on this. Is that right?
I did. So a few weeks ago, the Bucks obviously shocked the world, cut Damian Lillard to bring in Miles Turner on a 4-year, $107 million deal. And when I saw this news, my first reaction was I wasn't mad. I was like, I'm sad, but I get it. Because Dame, let's face it, he's 35, going to be 36 soon, coming off a torn Achilles. And even though his numbers went down with the Bucks, the fit wasn't the best, but him and Giannis were still a good duo. But you could tell that he wasn't playing at the same level he was when he was on the Blazers. And so he's going to be out all of next year. And so the Bucks say, you know what? Instead of hoping that maybe he can come back towards the start of the playoffs or like after the All-Star break or something, and maybe thinking that he might be able to play at the same level, why not like take a risk? Because you're already in a position where you're pulling out all the stops to make sure that Giannis doesn't leave. And so I like what they did in terms of bringing in Miles Turner and figuring out other ways to retool their roster, because they signed, in addition to Turner, they kept Gary Trent Jr. for another year on a very, very good deal. He took a big pay cut because he's definitely worth more than the contract he signed with them. It's like a 1 year, like $2-3 million deal or something. It's like damn near a vet minimum that he took to stay there. And then they kept Kevin Porter Jr., Scoot, who I think that was a good move to keep him. You still have Kyle Kuzma, which sucks, but like maybe they'll get him out of there by the deadline. They signed famous Timbs wearer Cole Anthony, who I think that's a very, very good pickup. Kevin Porter Jr. and Cole Anthony being my point guards. It's a little worrisome, but I would rather take my chances with them and seeing if they can go on miracle runs versus a Dame who's injured and not playing, and you have to wait for him to come back and wait for him to get back into game shape and things like that. And I think Dame signing with the Blazers makes the Bucks look a little smarter because they obviously cut him. Because they cut him knowing that he can go anywhere he wants. He can go to Miami. He can go. Boston was recruiting him heavily. He could go literally anywhere.
Houston was an option.
Houston, he went back to Portland knowing that he's probably never going to win anything there. And the Blazers have a decent team. Like Drew Holiday's there. Tamani Kamara is really good. Their bigs are really good. Are going to be really good. Like, but that's going to take time, though. That's going to take time.
I just want to point out that the Blazers originally tried to do right by Dame by letting him leave to try and build around Anthony Simons, and now he's not even there. And Dame's back. Like,
yeah. And the Celtics don't even want Anthony Simons. I think they're actively trying to trade him because they haven't even had an introductory press conference for him. Like, they don't even want him. And
who want me?
And I'm sorry, you guys might disagree with this, but when I look at the Eastern Conference landscape right now, knowing all the uncertainty for next year, I think there's only two teams that you can say will definitively be better than Milwaukee in the regular season. And I think those two teams are the Cavs and the Knicks. Everyone else,
Celtics?
No. Everyone else is like, maybe they will be, but I have no idea. We think Orlando might be good, really good next year, but we don't know. We think Detroit's going to take the next step, but we're not sure.
That's Cade.
Boston, we don't know. Al Horford's gone. Jason Tatum's going to be out all of next year.
Boston's cooked.
The Pacers, the team that just went to the finals, they're going to be without Halliburton for all of next year. It's been confirmed he's not going to play at all next year. So, like, if you're the Bucks, the Eastern Conference it's just a giant mystery right now. And so I like what they did in terms of retooling their roster and not relying on maybe Dame's going to come back and be good again. They took the steps to give them I think they're in a better position to compete next year than they were with Dame.
Don't you at all? Okay. I do think you have a good point, especially about letting him go, because it's better to bank. I also would rather bank on two just point guards.
Yeah.
Than pray that Dame comes back, especially on that contract. However, don't you think it's a little messed up that they let him go while he was injured?
No, I don't think so at all. Because I think they low-key did right by him because he's still getting all of his money and he got to go wherever he wanted in free agency. This was the first time he was ever a free agent. So he never had that luxury before.
And he just go back to Portland.
Yeah.
Yes, he could choose wherever he would want to go, and he inevitably wanted to go to Portland.
Yeah.
They didn't tell him about it, and they didn't tell Giannis about that. Doesn't that cause concern for anybody that's willing to, like, maybe think about joining the Bucks, in the next couple of years to compete, especially this year?
I find it hard to believe that the Bucks front office didn't tell Giannis that they were going to cut Dame. Like, I know that's what I know Chris Haynes came out and said that Giannis was disappointed in the move, that he didn't like it, but I find it hard to believe that they didn't tell him. I don't think they would put themselves in a position to make Giannis angry.
I wouldn't be concerned. Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like they're doing this move to prevent Giannis from getting upset. Like,
yeah,
like you could be upset about it now, but like the team's going to be better. You can't also, I wouldn't be that swayed about this news coming out, because how could you be concerned about what's going on in Milwaukee when you still have Matt Ishbia running a team?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Just bear with me. Like, Milwaukee, I'd say for the last couple of years have kind of had weird front office situations.
Yeah, lost in the first round 3 years in a row.
Starting with the Drew Holiday trade and stirring that kind of pot, that boiling pot with how that was kind of dealt with, and sending him off to Portland, and his wife and family being kind of distraught about that. And then now you fast forward to, I mean, this is fine because, in general, like, there was an understanding that Middleton was not going to stay and be effective on the Bucks. But, you did give away Cash Money Chris, and that was a big, piece of your culture.
Yeah.
And then you got back Kyle Kuzma, who's, you're going to start wondering if that was like
it's not a good move.
Burger. Yeah, like if it was just a nothing burger of a trade.
Kyle Kuzma is AI generated.
I'm just saying, I think let me rephrase my take from earlier. I don't want people to think I'm saying that the Bucks are going to be a top 3 seed. I'm just saying for next year, if they're a top 3 seed, I won't be surprised. If they're in the play-in tournament, I won't be surprised. Like, I don't think the I think there's no locks in the Eastern Conference. And even the Cavs and the Knicks, who I put ahead of them, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't play up to expectations.
Well, the Cavs don't do anything in the playoffs. Like,
unless they get Braun, but that's not going to happen.
You got to poke them with a stick for them to even like remotely beat. Like, dude, I remember the NBA TV series. It's always the Cavs.
Yeah,
I never forget it. Okay,
and then
well,
the Bucks and the Pacers.
Bucks Pacers, baby. That's God, that's probably happening again.
One final penny for your thought, Daniel. What do you think? How funny and ironic, but honestly, weirdly good for Milwaukee would it be if this was all just a perfect move to get Drew Holiday back on Milwaukee?
I think that would be a great move. I would definitely welcome that. I think the Blazers are going to keep him though. I don't think they plan on trading him.
Then you have point guard gluttony with Drew Holiday leading KPJ and Cole Anthony. By the way, you can never trust a guy with 2 first names.
Yeah,
it's one rule in life. You don't do odd numbers. You can't trust a man with 2 first names.
Yeah.
So we'll see how this goes. I want to point out one last thing. What's funnier, Drew Holiday being on the Blazers 2 separate times, or Russell Westbrook being on the Jazz 2 separate times?
Westbrook on the Jazz for sure. That's pretty funny.
When was he?
Especially because he's had incidents in Utah with fans being racist and him like getting into it with them. So like that's the funnier one.
I don't know. I don't even know what to do with Russell Westbrook at this point.
Isn't he still on the Nuggets?
I think he's a free agent.
He's still a free agent. They haven't signed him anywhere.
Warriors, babe. No. I don't know where Westbrook goes. Now that's a good point. Where does he go?
He goes to Milwaukee.
The Rockets again? He's not going to the Rockets.
No, he goes to Milwaukee.
You can't have a non-shooter on the floor with Giannis.
He's literally Giannis in a point guard.
Yeah,
body.
he's a
6'3" version of Prime Russell Westbrook is a 6'3" version of Giannis.
Essentially. And now it's the corpse of Giannis because he's 36 years old.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Professional Hate Watching Association. We'll figure out when we're going to go live next. You'll hear about it, though. Don't worry about it.
Maybe Eck will be there. Maybe
Eck will be there. We will see. But so until then, we will keep you posted. But that's all for now. I'm Ethan. This is Daniel and Tony. We will see you next time.
Peace.